He said, "Sign here," and stole my life. Her ring glittered cruelly beside the note. My brother asked for a loan to save his business. Now I had 8 missed bank calls and their mocking text. "Thanks for funding our new life." The closets were empty, $78,000 gone. The cracked phone I'd found at Mike's store yesterday exposed everything, months of secret messages between them. All those late nights working together. All those emergency business meetings. I clutched the phone tighter, scrolling through their plans to escape with my life savings. Every message was a knife in my chest. 38 years of brotherhood. 7 years of marriage. Worthless. The sound of my knuckles cracking against the wall again barely registered through the numbness. 6 hours earlier, I had been elbow-deep in a transmission rebuild at my auto shop in Albuquerque. The desert heat turned the garage into an oven, but I didn't mind. Santos Auto Repair had been my dream since I was 16, tinkering with my first junker. 10 years of ownership had taught me that honest work and fair prices built something more valuable than money: trust. "Hey, Ray, you got a call." Line 2, Marco, my front desk guy, shouted over the radio. I wiped my hands on a shop rag. "Who is it?" "Bank." "Again." I sighed, checking my watch. 2:17 p.m. Third call this week about Mike's loan. My brother had convinced me to co-sign for him 6 months ago, $78,000 to save his struggling hardware store across town. Last chance to turn it around, he'd said with that same look he'd given me since we were kids. The same look that got me to take the blame when he broke Mom's vase. The same look that convinced me to lend him my car when we were teenagers. How many times had I bailed him out? "I'll be right there." The bank manager's voice was apologetic but firm. "Mr. Santos, the payment is now 60 days past due. As the co-signer, you're legally responsible for." "I know. I'll talk to my brother today." I massaged my temples, trying to push away the headache that was building. "Can you give me until the end of the week?" I hung up and called Mike immediately. Straight to voicemail. "Again." "Mike, it's Ray. The bank called." "Again. Call me back." "Now." Christina hadn't answered my lunchtime call either. Not unusual these days, she was always busy at the real estate office or showing houses on evenings and weekends. Our marriage had cooled over the past year, but I blamed myself. Too many long hours at the shop, not enough date nights. I'd been planning to change that, maybe even take that trip to San Diego she'd been wanting. I tried to focus on the transmission rebuild, but my mind kept drifting to the money. $78,000. Nearly everything I had. I'd have to tap into the shop's emergency fund if Mike didn't come through. "I'm heading out early," I told Marco around 4:30. "Need to swing by Mike's store before they close." "Everything okay, boss?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, just family stuff." When I pulled up to Santos Hardware, the windows were dark. The closed sign hung crooked in the window, though they should have been open for another hour. Something cold settled in my stomach as I tried the door. Locked. I peered through the glass. The shelves looked oddly bare. No customers. No employees. No Mike. I called his cell again. Voicemail. I tried Christina one more time. It rang once, then went to voicemail. She'd declined the call. "That's weird," I muttered, walking around to the back of the building where Mike parked. His spot was empty. Something wasn't right. Mike had been dodging me for weeks, but this felt different. I drove home faster than I should have, trying to silence the voice in my head that kept whispering something was very wrong. When I turned onto our street, I expected to see Christina's blue Subaru in the driveway. It wasn't there. The house was quiet when I walked in. No smell of dinner cooking. No TV on. Just silence. "Christina." I called out, my voice echoing through the empty rooms. That's when I saw it. The note on the kitchen counter, weighed down by her wedding ring. "Ray, I'm sorry it has to be like this. I've been unhappy for a long time. Mike and I never meant for this to happen, but we've fallen in love. We're leaving town to start over somewhere new. Don't try to find us. The lawyer will contact you about the divorce." "I'm sorry, Christina." The world tilted sideways. I read it again. And again. The words remained the same, but I couldn't make them make sense. Mike and Christina? My brother and my wife? I grabbed the counter to steady myself. Our wedding photos still hung on the wall, mocking me with frozen smiles. 8 years together. Memories flashed through my mind. Meeting her at my shop when she brought in her broken-down car, our wedding at the Adobe church, helping Mike move into his apartment after his divorce, Sunday family dinners with the three of us laughing. All lies. I moved through the house like a ghost. Their betrayal crystallized with each discovery. Christina's closet emptied. Her toiletries gone from the bathroom. The safe in my office open and empty of the emergency cash I kept there. When I checked our joint account on my phone, the balance read $212.47. Last week it had been just over $11,000. I slammed my fist into the wall, pain shooting up my arm. It felt good. Real. The only real thing in this house of lies. That's when I remembered the phone. The cracked iPhone I'd found behind Mike's workbench yesterday when I'd gone to his store looking for him. He'd claimed to have lost it months ago and bought a new one. Must have fallen back there, I'd thought, setting it aside to give back to him. I rushed to my truck and grabbed it from the center console. The battery was low but still had enough charge. The screen lit up with messages. Hundreds of them. From Christina to Mike, March 3rd. I hate lying to him. From Mike to Christina, March 3rd. Just a little longer, baby. Once we have the money, we can start over. From Christina to Mike, April 17th. He's asking about the loan payment again. From Mike to Christina, April 17th. Tell him I'll take care of it next week. I'm transferring the last of the store inventory tomorrow. From Mike to Christina, yesterday. Got the tickets. Flight leaves at 6:30 tomorrow. Don't be late. Leave your phone behind. I scrolled through months of their messages, each one a knife in my chest. They had planned everything. Using my money to fund their escape, selling off Mike's inventory, emptying our accounts. The loan had never been for the store. It had been for them. As the devastating truth sank in, my phone rang. Tony Mendez, my oldest friend. Ray? You okay, man? I just drove by the hardware store. Place looks cleaned out. I couldn't speak for a moment. They're gone. I finally managed. Mike and Christina. Together. They took everything. Tony cursed. I'm coming over. Don't do anything stupid. I'll be there in 15. Tony found me sitting in the kitchen, surrounded by bank statements and loan papers. Jesus, Ray. He surveyed the mess, then put a hand on my shoulder. I'm so sorry, brother. 8 years, I said, my voice hollow. 8 years with her. 38 years with him. My whole life, Tony. I've been bailing him out my whole life. Tony pulled up a chair. What can I do? I shook my head. Nothing to do. They're gone. Money's gone. I'm $78,000 in debt for a loan that wasn't even real. The bank's probably going to come after the shop. You don't know that, Tony said, but his eyes betrayed his concern. Let me call my cousin. He's a lawyer. There has to be something. Look at this. I handed him the phone with the messages. They've been planning this for months. Selling off the store inventory, emptying accounts. By the time I realized something was wrong, they were already gone. Tony scrolled through the messages, his expression darkening. Bastards, he muttered. Both of them. I stared at the loan papers on the table. My signature next to Mike's. My promise to pay if he couldn't. Or wouldn't. I trusted him, I said quietly. All my life, I trusted him. Even when he screwed up, even when he lied, I always thought. He's my brother. Blood. You know, Tony nodded. He knew. He had been there for all of it. Mike's failed business ventures, his gambling phase, his divorce where I had taken him in. Tony had warned me every time. I never listened. What about the shop? Tony asked. If I sell my equipment and take out a second mortgage on the house, I might be able to cover the loan. Might. My life's work, gone because I couldn't say no to my brother. Because I trusted family. Tony was quiet for a moment, then said, Come stay with me. Just until you figure things out. I shook my head. I can't leave the shop. Ray, you're in no state to. The shop is all I have left, I said, a sudden clarity cutting through the fog of betrayal. It's the only thing that's really mine. I built it. Nobody handed it to me. Nobody can take it from me. Tony watched me carefully. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I need to save what's mine. I stood up, a plan forming. I need to talk to the bank tomorrow. See what my options are. And then, I looked at the wall where my business license hung next to a photo of me cutting the ribbon on opening day. 10 years ago. The proudest day of my life. And then I rebuild. That's what I do. I fix broken things. The next morning hit me like a freight train. For a blissful few seconds upon waking, I forgot everything. Then reality crashed back. Christina gone, Mike gone, my savings gone, my future hanging by a thread. I dragged myself into the shower, letting the scalding water pound my shoulders. By the time I stepped out, my mind had shifted from stunned disbelief to something harder. Determination. The bank opened at 9 o'clock. I was waiting outside at 8:45, loan papers and Mike's phone in hand. The branch manager, Mrs. Delgado, recognized me immediately. "Mr. Santos, I wasn't expecting you so early." "I need to talk about the loan," I said. "And I need to show you something." In her office, I laid out everything, the text messages proving Mike had never intended to use the money for the business, the evidence that they had planned to skip town all along. Mrs. Delgado's expression softened. "Mr. Santos, I sympathize with your situation, truly. But legally, as the co-signer, I know my legal obligations," I said. "I'm not trying to get out of them. I'm asking for options." She studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Let me see what I can do." An hour later, I had a restructured payment plan. It would be tight, painfully tight, but with some adjustments to the shop's operations, I could make it work. I wouldn't lose everything after all. As I walked to my truck, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello. Ray? It's Elena, Christina's sister." My jaw tightened. "What do you want?" "I didn't know, Ray. I swear to God, I didn't know what they were planning." Her voice broke. "Christina called me this morning from some burner phone. They're in California." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because it's wrong, what they did to you." She paused. "And because there's something else. Mike has debts. Gambling debts. Serious ones." My blood ran cold. "What kind of debts?" "The kind where people come looking for payment. Christina said they're running from more than just you." "Great. Just great. Thanks for letting me know," I said flatly. "Ray, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this." I hung up without responding. Gambling debts? How deep did Mike's deception go? When I arrived at the shop, Marco looked relieved to see me. "Boss, where were you yesterday?" "We had the Martinez job come in, and I didn't know if family emergency," I cut him off. "Everything's fine now." It wasn't fine. Nothing was fine. But my shop was still here. And I had work to do. I buried myself in repairs all day, losing myself in the familiar rhythm of tools and engines. Every time my mind drifted to Christina or Mike, I forced it back to the task at hand. Valve adjustment, oil change, brake job. Simple problems with straightforward solutions. Around 4 o'clock, the bell above the door jingled. I looked up from under the hood of a Chevy to see two men I didn't recognize. One was tall and muscular, the other shorter with a face like carved stone. They didn't look like customers. "Raymond Santos," the taller one asked. I straightened, wiping my hands on a rag. "That's me. We need to talk about your brother, Michael." I felt a chill run down my spine. "Who are you?" "Friends of people Mike owes money to." The shorter man stepped forward. "Significant money." Marco glanced over nervously. I motioned for him to keep working. "Whatever business you had with my brother, it's got nothing to do with me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The tall man smiled without humor. "That's where you're wrong, Mr. Santos. Your brother used your auto shop as collateral for certain arrangements. That's impossible. He has no ownership in my business. He showed documents saying otherwise." The shorter man shrugged. "Our employers don't care about the details. They care about getting paid." My mind raced. Documents? What documents? Then I remembered the partnership papers Mike had asked me to sign last year for tax purposes. I trusted him without reading everything. Stupid. So stupid. "How much?" I asked, my mouth dry. 42,000. I almost laughed. On top of the $78,000 loan? Now this? "I don't have that kind of money. You've got a week to figure it out." The tall man handed me a business card with just a phone number, or we start taking payment in other ways. After they left, I sat in my office, hands shaking. This couldn't be happening. But it was. Mike hadn't just stolen my money and my wife. He'd sold me out to loan sharks. I called Tony immediately. "I need help." 2 days later, I sat in Tony's living room with his cousin Raphael, who happened to be a lawyer specializing in debt collection cases. "These guys are bottom feeders," Raphael said, looking over the partnership document I'd found. "This agreement wouldn't hold up in court. It's full of inconsistencies, and your signature on page 3 doesn't even match the others." "Mike forged it?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Raphael nodded. "Badly. But these collectors don't care about legal niceties. They want money, not a court battle. So what do? I asked. I can't pay them. I'm already drowning in debt from the bank loan. You've got options, Raphael said. First, we document everything, the threats, the forged papers, all of it. Then we go to the police. And get my brother arrested? The thought made me sick, despite everything. Your brother did this to himself, Tony said gently. And to you. I stared at the coffee table, where Mike's cracked phone still sat. My brother. My flesh and blood. The same person who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd stood beside me at my wedding. Now he'd left me to face loan sharks and bankruptcy alone. Okay, I said finally. Let's do it. Raphael helped me file a police report about the threats and the forged documents. Then he connected me with a friend at the district attorney's office who specialized in predatory lending and collection practices. The collectors came back 2 days later. This time, 2 police officers in plain clothes were waiting in my office. The trap was sprung, and the collectors were arrested for extortion and illegal debt collection practices. It turned out I wasn't their only victim. They'd been terrorizing small business owners across Albuquerque. My case helped build a stronger prosecution against them. As for the debt itself, it was tied to an illegal gambling operation. The DA assured me I wouldn't be liable for a penny of it. The forged partnership agreement was worthless. I still had the bank loan to deal with, but at least I wouldn't lose my shop to loan sharks. One crisis averted. One burden lifted. Through it all, Tony stood by me. When I couldn't sleep, when the anger threatened to consume me, when I wondered how I'd missed the signs of betrayal, he was there. Not with empty reassurances, but with practical support and unwavering friendship. You know what the hardest part is? I told him one night after a few beers. I still miss them. How pathetic is that? After everything they did, I still catch myself wanting to call Christina or ask Mike for advice. 10 years of friendship with him. 8 years with her. It's like missing a limb. Tony didn't judge. He just nodded. Grief is grief, man. You lost the 2 people closest to you. It's gonna hurt for a while. Will it ever stop? No, he said honestly. But it'll change. Turn into something you can carry. He was right. The pain didn't disappear, but it transformed. Each day I woke up, went to work, fixed cars, paid my bills, and went to bed. Each day the weight got a little more manageable. Word spread about what had happened to me. Customers started leaving larger tips. Old clients returned with referrals. A local news station even did a small segment on small business fraud, featuring my story. You're the honest mechanic who got scammed, one customer told me. People respect that. They respect how you're handling it. I hadn't thought about it that way. I was just surviving, one day at a time. But maybe that was enough. 3 months later, I stood in the expanded garage of Santos Auto Repair, watching as Marco trained our 2 new hires. The shop was busier than ever. Turns out being the honest mechanic who got scammed made for surprisingly good local publicity once the story got out. The debt still weighed on me. I'd sold the house, too many memories, and moved into an apartment closer to the shop. The money helped pay down the loan. I was still making monthly payments, would be for years, but the business was growing. I'd survive. More than survive. Tony had helped me through the darkest days, offering friendship when I needed it most. I turned down his job offer but accepted his advice to join a support group for victims of financial fraud. Turned out I wasn't alone. Far from it. Now I was helping others, teaching free classes on financial literacy at the community center, warning people about the warning signs I'd missed. Sometimes the best way to heal is to help others avoid your mistakes. My phone buzzed with a text. A new client, referred by someone from the support group. Need good mechanic, it read. Someone trustworthy. I smiled as I texted back, setting up an appointment. Trustworthy. That was the reputation I'd built, the one thing no one could take from me. The betrayal still hurt. Some days it hurt like hell. But as I looked around at what I'd managed to save, and what I'd managed to build from the ashes, I realized something important. Trust isn't something you give blindly. It's something you earn through actions, day after day. My brother and my wife had betrayed my trust, but they hadn't destroyed my ability to trust again. They hadn't broken me. I picked up my tools and moved to the next vehicle waiting for repair. This was my life now, fixing what was broken, one piece at a time, including myself. The price of trust had been steep, but what I gained in return. Strength, clarity, purpose, was worth more than everything I'd lost. Was I right to rebuild from the ashes of betrayal, or should I have walked away from it all? What would you have done in my place?